Chief Silas Adamola stood at the edge of his Lecky mansion's marble hallway, one hand adjusting the gold cufflinks on his navy blue suit, the other gripping his Lexus key fob. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the polished tiles. He was late, again, for a pivotal investors meeting at Crestrock Real Estate Group, the company he'd built from a single laptop in a cramped Yaba office to a billionaire empire spanning Lagos's most exclusive neighborhoods. His phone buzzed relentlessly in his pocket. Toby, his business partner, no doubt wondering why he wasn't already at the office, charming the investors with his silver tongue. But then, a trembling voice broke the silence. "Sir, please. I'm begging you. Don't leave the house today." Silas froze. Kneeling before him on the cold tiles was Dupe, the housemaid. Her brown eyes were red-rimmed, her hands clasped tightly, shaking like leaves in a storm. Her plain gown clung to her small frame, and her neatly braided cornrows glistened with sweat. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. "What's this?" Silas asked, his voice low, more curious than annoyed. Dupe swallowed hard, her gaze locked on his. "I had a dream, sir, last night. You were wearing this exact suit. You stepped into your car and—" Her voice cracked. "You didn't come back. There was blood everywhere. People were screaming your name. Please, sir, don't go." Silas blinked, the air in the room suddenly heavy. This wasn't a joke. Dupe's fear was raw, unpolished, like someone who'd witnessed something unspeakable. His phone buzzed again. Toby, impatient. The deal on the table was worth billions. A land acquisition in Banana Island that could redefine Crestrock's legacy. Silas couldn't afford to miss it. Yet something in Dupe's voice, in the way her hands trembled, made his chest tighten. "Get up," he said, his tone firm but not harsh. "This isn't the time." "Please, sir," she whispered, pressing her palms to the floor. "I know. I'm just a maid, but I can't stay quiet. If you go and something happens, I'll never forgive myself." Heels clicked sharply on the staircase. Mariah, Silas's wife, descended like a queen, her silk robe tied tightly around her slim waist, her face already flawless with early makeup. Her eyes narrowed at the scene. Dupe kneeling, Silas standing still. "What exactly is going on here?" she asked, her voice cold as the tiles beneath them. "She's saying I shouldn't leave the house," Silas replied, his eyes still on Dupe. Mariah folded her arms. "Why?" Dupe didn't move. "Ma, I had a dream. A clear one. If he leaves, today he won't come back alive." Mariah scoffed, her lips curling. "This is why I said we should fire her. Now she's a prophetess?" She turned to Silas. "You have a meeting. Billions are on the table, and you're listening to this nonsense?" "Mariah," Silas began, but she cut him off. "No, let me talk," she snapped. "This girl is out of line, a housemaid telling you what to do. You must be joking." Dupe bowed her head lower. "I'm sorry, Ma, but I had to speak." "Get out of the way," Mariah hissed. Silas raised a hand. "Wait." Mariah spun toward him, eyes blazing. "Wait for what?" He didn't answer immediately. Dupe's voice echoed in his mind, honest, unpretentious, terrified. Unlike Mariah's polished anger or Toby's calculated charm, Dupe had nothing to gain. And then it hit him, a quiet, unshakable feeling deep in his chest. "If you step out today, you'll regret it." He stepped back, walked to the center table, and dropped his car key beside his phone. "I'm not going." Dupe gasped softly, still kneeling. Mariah's mouth fell open. "You're not what?" "I'm not going," Silas repeated, his voice steady. He walked to the living room and sank into the leather couch, hands folded, staring at the marble floor as if it held answers. Mariah shook her head, muttering under her breath, and stormed upstairs. Dupe rose slowly, wiped her face, and picked up a glass of water she'd left on the table. Her hands still shook as she disappeared into the kitchen. Silas sat in silence, his heart racing. Why did Dupe's fear feel more real than anything he'd felt in years? He didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. the man behind the money chief. Silas Adamola wasn't just rich, he was revered. In Lagos's real estate circles, his name was synonymous with integrity. No flashy social media posts, no loud interviews, no extravagant birthday parties with rented Lamborghinis. He let his work speak, towering estates in Ikoyi, luxury apartments in Victoria Island, and commercial hubs in Maitama. Crestrock Real Estate Group, co-founded with his best friend Toby Onishile, was a testament to their hustle. From cold calls in a tiny Yaba office to signing billion Naira deals, they'd built an empire. Silas was the brain, calm, strategic, a man who could read silence like a book. Toby was the face, charismatic, bold, a risk-taker who could sell sand in a desert. Their friendship was legendary, the kind people toasted to at galas. Blood brothers, they'd say, clinking champagne glasses, but Silas knew the truth. Behind Toby's laughter, something was always off. A glance too long, a question too vague, a deal pushed too hard. Still, the money flowed, and Silas buried his doubts. At home, the facade was even shakier. Mariah, his wife, was a vision, slim, stunning, always dressed like she stepped off a magazine cover. Their Lekki mansion screamed wealth, chandeliers imported from Italy, scented candles in every room, a walk-in closet stuffed with designer shoes. To the world, they were perfect, matching outfits at weddings, glowing anniversary photos, endless compliments. God blessed you two, people would say. But behind closed doors, love had long faded. Silas had fallen for Mariah at a luxury interior store in Ikoyi. She was buying throw pillows. He was there for a chair. She asked if navy blue matched gray, and he answered without hesitation. Her laugh was like music. They married within a year, drunk on love. But by year 2, Mariah's priorities were clear. Comfort over connection. She didn't cook, didn't clean, didn't ask about his day. She wanted space, silence, and status. And she despised housemaids. In less than a year, Mariah fired 6 maids. She opens the curtains too wide, she'd complain. She breathes too loud while mopping. Silas would come home to find another packed bag, another name gone. He tried to protest once. I'm not running a school, Mariah snapped. This is my house. If I don't like someone, they leave. So Silas stopped fighting. He buried himself in work, chasing peace through contracts and cash. Then came Dupe. One Friday, the last maid quit without notice. Silas came home to cold, food and unfolded clothes. Mariah, fresh from a spa session, announced, I found a new one. She starts tomorrow. Dupe arrived the next day, small, brown-skinned, hair in neat cornrows, wearing a plain gown and flat slippers. No earrings, no drama. She greeted everyone with a soft good morning and got to work. By evening, the house sparkled. Floors mopped, pantry organized, guest toilet scrubbed. Even Mariah, who never praised anyone, muttered, She's not as annoying as the others. It was the highest compliment she'd ever given. Dupe was different. She didn't gossip, didn't linger by the TV, didn't touch what wasn't hers. She was up before dawn, ironing Silas's shirts with hotel precision, cleaning windows without being asked. Silas noticed her, not in a romantic way, but in a curious one. She moved like someone who didn't want to be seen, yet her presence brought calm. One evening, as he ate a hot plate of jollof rice she'd prepared, Silas thought, finally, someone who brings peace to this house. But peace wasn't Dupe's purpose. The warning that changed everything. Silas sat in the living room, the hum of the air conditioner filling the silence. He should have been at the office, shaking hands, sealing the Banana Island deal. Instead, he was here, haunted by Dupe's trembling voice and the inexplicable dread in his chest. His phone lit up. Toby. He sighed and answered. Guy, what's going on? Toby's voice was sharp. You didn't show. The investors are livid. I had to cancel. I know, Silas said, his tone flat. Something came up. Something? This deal was gold, Silas. Talk to me. Silas hesitated. How could he explain a maid's dream? Before he could answer, another call flashed. Funmi, his office secretary. He switched over. Sir? Funmi's voice shook. Sean, your driver. He's been in an accident. 3rd Mainland Bridge. A truck lost control, hit your Lexus, it somersaulted. He's in the hospital, unconscious. We thought you were in the car. Silas lowered the phone, his pulse racing. The exact car, the exact road, the exact time. He saw it in his mind. The mangled Lexus, glass scattered, blood on the asphalt. If he hadn't listened to Dupe, he'd be in that hospital. Or worse. The silence in the house felt deafening. Mariah appeared in the hallway, her robe still tied, scrolling through her phone. So you're just sitting here all day? She asked, not looking up. There was an accident, Silas said, his voice steady but heavy. Sean took the car. A truck hit him. The Lexus is gone. Mariah's hand froze mid-scroll. And, you think that means what? I think if I'd gone out, I might not be here, she scoffed. So now it's a spiritual story? Accidents happen every day in Lagos. Silas studied her face. Calm, cold, no trace of worry. You're not even shaken. Why should I be? You're standing here, aren't you? He held her gaze, something shifting inside him. I'm keeping her, he said. Mariah frowned. Keeping who? The maid. She needs to go, Mariah snapped. She caused drama. She has no right telling you what to do. This is my house too, Silas said, his voice low but final. Mariah froze, then turned and walked away, leaving a trail of perfume and tension. Silas sank back into the couch, his mind racing. Something was wrong, not just with the accident, but with everything. He could feel it, like a shadow moving just out of sight. The cracks widen. The house grew colder in the days that followed. Silas spoke less, watched more. He noticed how Mariah avoided Dupe, how she changed the subject whenever the accident came up. He noticed her late-night phone calls, her quick glances when she thought he wasn't looking. Toby, too, was different. His usual charm felt forced, his laughter too loud. Silas's instincts screamed, but he had no proof. Not yet. 3 days later, he sat in the dining room, scrolling through his tablet. Mariah was out, allegedly at a spa. Dupe entered to clear the plates, her movements silent as always. Then just above a whisper, she said, Sir. Silas looked up. She bent slightly as if picking up a napkin. Please don't sign any documents this week. He frowned. Why? Her voice dropped lower. I had another dream. Clearer than the last. You signed papers and everything collapsed. Your company, your accounts frozen. Policemen came. You were handcuffed, sir, for something you didn't do. Silas stiffened. What kind of papers? I don't know, she said, her eyes darting to the doorway. But if you sign anything this week, you'll lose everything. Mariah's heels clicked as she re-entered. Dupe grabbed the tray and slipped away. Silas sat still, Dupe's words sinking deep. Lose everything, handcuffed. He couldn't shake it. 2 days later, Toby arrived at the house, all smiles and cologne. My guy, he shouted, pulling Silas into a hug. Thank God you missed that car. Brutal stuff. He plopped onto the eye. Corsart, the Dubai deal's still alive, just needs your signature. Silas nodded, his face neutral. Send the documents. Toby grinned. That's my man. That night, the documents arrived. Silas opened the folder, scanning the pages. Something was off. The land value was lower than discussed. The payout account was unfamiliar, an offshore bank he'd never seen. Dupe's voice echoed, You'll lose everything. He closed the folder, locked it in his drawer, and called a friend in finance. What they uncovered was worse than he'd feared. Toby had been siphoning company funds for 2 years, millions funneled into fake projects, hidden in offshore accounts. The Dubai deal was a trap, designed to pin the fraud on Silas. If he'd signed, he'd be in jail, his name ruined, while Toby walked free. The unraveling at home, Mariah's hostility grew. That maid's too comfortable, she said one morning, slamming a drawer. She's too quiet, I don't trust her. She's efficient, Silas replied, not looking up. She's disrespectful, Mariah snapped. She's going. She's staying, Silas said, his voice like steel. Mariah's eyes flashed. You're choosing a maid over me? I'm choosing my peace. That night, Mariah locked herself in the guest room. Silas overheard her on the phone, her voice low but sharp. I can't do this anymore, Toby. I'm suffocating. She's ruining everything. A pause. You said if I married him, we'd take the company. It's been years, and we're still stuck. Silas's blood ran cold. He didn't confront her. Instead, he hired a discreet investigator. The next morning, Mariah announced, I'm going to a cure. Daddy's sick. Silas nodded, saying nothing. He'd already made a call. Follow her. Don't interfere. Send updates. By 9:03 a.m., the first update came. Mariah didn't go to a cure. She checked into a boutique hotel in Victoria Island, room 406, under Mrs. Tolu Ogunlade. At 9:47 a.m., Toby arrived, cap low, sunglasses, and heading straight to her room. Silas read the messages, his face a mask. No shock, no tears, just clarity. That evening, he drove to the hotel in a dark SUV. The receptionist hesitated until he slid 2 bundles of cash across the counter. Room 406, he said. She handed him the key. He didn't knock. He opened the door to find Mariah in a white bathrobe pouring wine, and Toby shirtless on the couch scrolling his phone. They froze. Mariah's glass slipped slightly. Toby stood too fast, forcing a smile. Guy. Silas raised a hand. Don't. Mariah's lip trembled. Silas, I can explain. Don't lie, he said, his voice low. Not here. Toby stepped forward. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, Silas said. And worse. He looked at Mariah. You married me for this? Her eyes burned. You never saw me. You were married to your company. And you were married to my account, Silas said. You and your lover. Mariah flinched. Silas turned and left, the door closing softly behind him. No drama, no shouts. Just the quiet of a man who'd seen enough. Rebuilding from ashes, Silas returned to an empty mansion. He sat in his study, the chandelier glowing above, the silence suffocating. He made 2 calls, one to his lawyer for divorce, papers, another to his accountant to buy out Toby's shares. Mariah didn't contest the divorce. Give me my peace, she told her lawyer. Silas signed with steady hands, but inside, the betrayal burned. For days he barely ate. The mansion's luxury mocked him. Every photo, every candle, a reminder of lies. Yet Dupe remained, sweeping silently, serving meals he didn't touch. One night she walked into the living room, her voice soft but firm. I'm leaving tomorrow, sir. Silas's throat tightened. Why? My assignment here is over. You don't have to go, he said, his voice cracking. You're the only one who hasn't hurt me. I know, she said gently, but I wasn't sent to stay. I was sent to save. She stepped closer. If you'd signed those papers, you'd be in jail. They'd be free, laughing over your money, but you listened. You're ready to start again with your eyes open. Silas stared at her. She smiled. Not a goodbye, but a promise. Live right, she said. Trust slowly. Love carefully. Watch everyone. Then she turned and left, her footsteps fading into the night. Silas stood in the doorway, the Lagos breeze brushing past. He didn't chase her. Instead, he walked to a wedding photo on the wall, stared at Mariah's smile, and smashed the frame. The glass shattered like the lies. He picked up a shard, saw his reflection, bruised, awake, and smiled for the first time in months. A new dawn it took a year to rebuild. Silas poured himself into Crestrock, rooting out Toby's allies, opening a new branch in Abuja, hiring young talent with fire in their eyes. He walked away from shady deals, refused bribes, became the man he wished he'd always been. The scars faded. He started walking by the lagoon, eating with joy, smiling without effort. Love came quietly, through a woman at a charity auction. Amara, a teacher who loved books and children, not his wealth. She asked about his dreams, not his bank account. They held hands under the stars, and Silas knew this time it was real. Across town, Dupe stepped out of a small car in front of a duplex with cracked pillars. A weary woman answered the door, eyes swollen from crying. "Are you the lawyer?" she asked. "No," Dupe said, her voice calm. "I'm the housemaid." Inside, a marriage was crumbling under the weight of secrets, but Dupe had arrived. And where she went, lies fell, and truth rose. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe for more gripping tales. Drop a comment. Have you ever trusted someone who betrayed you? See you in the next story.